Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is episode 121 of the Streamers Paradise podcast. I'm Hazy. We got Clutch and Bo. What up? What up?
What up, guys? What up?
So you know what's really funny?
What?
How the intro to this podcast has only evolved since it's gotten quieter. Children get older. I mean, it's still the same thing, just toned down to not anybody else.
You're right. It has been toned down. Yeah, because it's a pain in the ass to move the baby, but if I'm too loud, I'm gonna wake her up. Yo, did you hear about this YouTube channel called, what was it called? 8 passengers? 8 passengers.
Oh,
No.
You didn't hear about 8 passengers.
A YouTube channel, you said?
Yeah, and there's been a whole case, like the mother got arrested and shit. So basically 8 passengers is a YouTube channel that was like geared around family, like how to deal with your children, right? Like basically like she was a coach, like a life coach or some shit. I don't really know how else to put it. But she was just arrested for like tying her children up and starving them. And yeah, dude, apparently
this just happened?
I mean, she just got convicted.
Oh, I may have vaguely remembered.
Her name was Ruby Frank.
I think I remember hearing about this. It was quiet when I heard it.
I haven't heard nothing about this. That's crazy.
So I was thinking, right? There's I don't know if you guys follow the Explore With Us YouTube channel. Explore With Us is like a in-depth documentary channel with like real footage, body cam footage, things like that. It's a really, really good journalism channel. I was thinking we could react to it. You know what I mean? Like every 5 minutes or something like that, we can just talk or something like that. It'll kind of be a different speed, you know what I mean, of
episode
of podcast. Yeah, it'll be a totally different speed. But it's up to you. I don't know. It's a crazy. It's crazy.
I'd be down for it. I kind of want to see the details about it now. Like, fuck, that'd be dope.
I mean, I could explain them, but I feel like this person can explain it better. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. Make sure you turn it up though. Like, make sure it's loud enough so that way when it replays. Hockey Dad, we talk a lot about cases and stuff like that on the podcast. Pull it up, Jamie. Come on. Come on, Jamie.
I'm gonna play a little clip. Just somebody in the chat. Let me hear everything.
You could do 2 favors. Well, what are they? Taking me to the nearest police station.
Yeah, I can hear.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
Sound good?
Wait a second though. Keep going because I want to hear the narrator. That was the
Personal business. Ring.
Whoa! That was the ring.
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house? And I'm a good woman.
Yeah, it's clear.
I don't do naughty
Good?
things.
The lives of family lifestyle influencers Jodi, Hildebrandt, and Ruby Franke imploded on August 30th, 2023, when one of Ruby's 6 children was discovered weak and hurt. The
Okay,
other
so this
5
is
had
2
not been
years old,
accounted for
a
at
year
this
and a half.
time,
Well,
and law enforcement
a
wasted
year
no
and
time
4
in
months.
Get him tied up in the basement. Did they like ran out to a neighbor's house?
I mean, essentially that's what it
launching a
is.
full
I mean, he
investigation. As
he
the
wasn't
police
tied up in the I don't think he was tied up in the basement, but he was tied up to say the least. Like, and they were doing even worse things like putting salt and cayenne pepper and shit like that in his wounds and then duct
Ooh.
taping them. Like they were horrendous.
Ooh.
Horrendous. Like you just want to tie them up and drag them behind a fucking F-150 on a dirt road. You know what I mean?
delved into the twisted
Like that's
dynamic
what you
that
want
had
to do to
grown
these
between
fucking
the
people.
2 women. They never could have anticipated the depths of the depravity the
Yeah,
children were
you're
subjected
gonna have to
to,
fast forward
or
through
the
some of it. You know what I mean?
mind-boggling justifications offered by the perpetrator.
Also had
And he has it around his
wrist
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been.
Needs immediate attention. Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually,
I have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it.
The following report is
don't
based
skip
on
it yet.
police
Let's hear the
records.
story.
When Dan
Yeah.
Clarkson answered his doorbell at 10:46 a.m. on August 30th, 2023, he never could have expected his actions would kickstart a nationally publicized police investigation. However, as soon as he laid eyes on the young boy outside, he immediately knew something was very, very wrong. His Ring camera captured the heartbreaking conversation that ensued.
It looks like he has a dress shirt on and no pants, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So why else would it be blurred like that?
hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
This was actually the second neighbor the boy had attempted to contact. At the first house, there was no answer, so he'd been forced to move on. The disturbing reason he was seeking help came out when Dan made this emotional call to 911.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. Said he just came from a neighbor's house. He's hungry and he's thirsty.
While Dan was on the phone with the 911, his wife gave the boy, who introduced himself as Russell, snacks to eat while waiting for help to arrive. But shockingly, there was something more appalling about the boy's condition than his extreme malnutrition.
He has duct tape around
Big
his ankle.
injuries. There's sores around them.
Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been.
So you seen that
And he
they're
also had
And he has it around his
sores.
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has
What was
been.
that?
Needs
Say something.
No, I mean nothing other than they're describing his wounds. They're saying
Oh
he
yeah,
had,
yeah. Sorry, I was like, I
Mhm.
was focused.
no, he has duct tape. You got to pause it every couple of minutes anyway, so we don't get flagged.
Yeah.
It has to actually be a reaction video, otherwise we're just watching TV.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I was like locked into the story there.
Yeah. So
Not even
essentially,
the
where we're
story,
at
the
right
actual
now,
footage.
where we're at right now is this young man has escaped his home, where he is being
Tied up
duct
with
taped, and he has sores all over, like where the duct tape is. So like,
Yeah, so it's saying it's
yeah,
been there for some time. It's not
right,
fresh.
right. They're giving him snacks. He looks emaciated. All that stuff. Let's go.
immediate attention.
And yet the most heartbreaking revelations were yet to come.
Okay, this boy has been.
Needs immediate attention.
He needs. This kid has obviously been. I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. He says What's happened to him is his fault.
We need the police here now.
This is
The
terrible.
police and an ambulance were already on the way. During the tense waiting
To say that
period,
it's
Russell
his
revealed
fault?
that he'd been
Like, what
staying
kind of
with his
mind
mother.
fucking
Like he's
game are
he's
you
like
playing?
brainwashed that like this is somehow his.
Insane, man.
Friend, Jodi Hildebrandt, since May. Terrifyingly, he added that he wasn't the only child in Jodi's house. His two sisters, ages 9 and 14, were still inside.
So this is still at the neighbor's house right now.
As Russell underwent medical assessment, more
They don't
police
know about the
officers
other
arrived.
kids yet.
We need to identify that
Well, they
house.
just-
If there's
yeah, they
two
were
other
just
kids there, we
told.
need to go do a security sweep of that house. Help them.
They were about to realize that they'd gotten there in the nick of time. As the police staged in Dan's driveway, a woman drove up in her car and announced that she was searching for a 12-year-old boy.
They gotta be
She
sick,
gave her name
Mills.
as none
They gotta
other
be
than Jodi
fucking sick.
Hildebrandt, the woman Russell said his family had been staying with. Cleverly, the police didn't tell Jodi how much they already knew. They just took down her address and said they would come to speak with her shortly. She didn't have to wait long.
I mean, they found this in like so much information. So
Well, did you hear what they said about how she went looking at the police station for the 12-year-old boy?
yeah, she's like looking
Did you
for him.
catch that part? Yeah, because he disappeared. So they're looking, and they literally have him and don't tell her. So she gives them the information, and they fucking swarm the house
That's what I'm saying. This all happened like so quick. Like
so quick. I mean, this is a fucking mansion. This place is massive. It's a compound.
And it's like in the middle of nowhere too.
It's like Arizona or something, right?
Police officers,
You
open
can,
up!
I feel like you can tell because of the rocks as the yard.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a friendly knock. She's aware of that as it's happening. And she also knows that what she's done is wrong. And that kid is missing, so she knows what's up.
yeah, and they already know like way more than.
Jodi, I need you to step out.
And they don't need a search warrant either
That's great.
because
Step out of the house.
No, I'm not gonna step out of the
Step out of the
house.
house. Step out of the house.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
We're just gonna see if anybody else. Anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
They come into my house.
yeah, they don't need
Do
a
you have a
warrant
search warrant?
if there's
Explain
kids.
that.
Not for
in
this.
danger.
Yeah, not for this.
You can't just come into my
Ah,
house
okay,
without a
okay.
search warrant.
Jodi was mistaken about the need for a warrant to enter the home because the police already had probable cause due to a 911 call that the neighbors had placed after Russell showed up at their door.
Yeah,
There was
they
a
don't-
clear emergent need to enter, and a warrant wasn't necessary. The police must account for the welfare of the other two children. They certainly had their work cut out for them, though, because the house was massive. During the search, the police found one room that appeared to be set up for filming. This, they would learn, was because Jodi and Ruby both had a significant online
Right.
presence.
So they're
More
YouTubers.
details would emerge throughout the investigation, revealing
that I didn't. This was.
Eight passengers. Source YouTube, 8 passengers.
Oh, that's right. You
Now,
were
I
saying. Yeah,
can't-
that's right.
right.
the dark
So I
side
tried
of
to
these
look them
social
up. I tried to look it up and see if I could find anything. They were banned. Everything is gone. They removed the fucking stuff. So this was in 2023. So it's been gone for a while. Who knows?
You said it was
how-
What were they doing? It was like how to homeschool your, like about homeschooling kids and stuff.
It wasn't homeschooling so much. It was more just like how to be a parent.
Okay.
Excuse me. That was terrible.
Yeah.
It was like how to be a parent type stuff. Keep going. You'll see. You'll see what
media
it is.
influencers. To ensure that they left no corner unchecked, the investigators retrieved the blueprints of the house. This turned out to be a brilliant idea, as the schematics
The
revealed
blueprints of
something
the
that might have
house.
been overlooked otherwise. Outside,
Concrete.
Jodi did not appear to be shy about expressing her displeasure at the intrusion.
They literally
I have
have
Airbnb
a
guests over
fucking.
there.
You'll see.
Probably scared me to death.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the house?
Yes,
2 kids?
there's a little girl.
Just one?
She's right over here.
Okay.
The Airbnb guests were the least of the police's worries right now. Following Jodi's instructions, they made their way down the hall to a bathroom with a large closet. What they found inside was devastating.
I'm a police officer. Are you going for the union here? Hey, you okay? Is it just you in here?
So I want you to skip
I'm Sergeant
forward a little
Tobler.
bit. I'm gonna speed up. I'm gonna speed you up a little bit. Go to fuck. All of this is kind of important.
Fucking chills, bro. Just
Okay, we're gonna have to watch until at least like 13 minutes. Fuck.
We want me to skip ahead or?
Yeah, so just pause it real quick. Let me see if I can catch everybody up to like get through some of it so we can watch the whole thing. Okay, so essentially that little girl is the only kid in the house right now. It takes them over 4 hours to gain her trust to get her to walk out of that closet on her own. And they did it with food. They gave her pizza. The mother comes home and she shuts down, doesn't say a word. The psychologist says a little something, but they're both waiting for their lawyers. Now, here's where it gets really crazy. The mom apparently separated from the father. Somebody called the father and said, "You're going to have to come down to the police station and pick up your kids." He goes down to the police station and the fucking cops start interrogating him because they want to know what the hell his involvement is in all this. Apparently, he hasn't seen his family for a year, and she's taken all of his money. She's making him pay all the bills, and he's not allowed to see them. And the way everyone talks, they talk like the way she frames things, it's like they are the ones that do things wrong. But I wanna get through. Like, look at. Let me see here. Um, go to 20. Go to 19 minutes and 30 seconds, and that's when we see the father. We'll speed this up a little bit.
Still just two kids at this point, or find the
Oh,
third?
right. Sorry. So, yes, there are two older kids, and there are the two younger kids.
Hours.
The two older kids
Lisa's worries
have
right now.
essentially, I guess, moved out or are living in another place, but they're not there. So there was only the two
she had
small
wounds.
kids in that house being abused that way. There was 6 kids total, but 2 of them were being abused like this. Go ahead. Press play.
On her feet and decided that she and Russell both needed to go to the hospital. Thankfully, as Kevin's conversation with police continued, he was willing to provide some crucial context.
And how many kids do you have, Kevin?
I have 6 kids.
So are they all living with you, or?
No, I haven't seen them for over a year.
Any of them?
No, none of them.
For a year?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been in a separation from...
Could you imagine that
from
real
my
quick,
wife
though?
and family. Ruby invited me to leave the home while I thought about the...
Invited me. Pause it.
choices that I've made in
Did you
my
hear that
life.
language? Ruby invited me to leave the home. The other kid, what happened to me was my fault.
Yeah, but not even to leave my home, but and to apologize for the way that I've treated.
Right. Dude, this
Dude is brainwashed.
dude, this shit is crazy. Like I've never seen anything like this. It's like they're in a fucking cult that they don't want to be
I
in.
mean, if he would have said that to me, if I would have heard him say that without knowing any other context, probably wouldn't think it's crazy. Maybe he did fuck up, right? Like, I don't know. But knowing more context, like, it's hard for me to say that. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't know anything, and this was all you had seen. Like, beginning of what, can't say that you would just assume he's. Maybe he did fuck, and maybe knowing the what has our like, knowing what we already know. It's like him saying that. I'm like, wow, even
completely manipulated.
Yeah.
In a,
Her.
you know. Oh,
And
it's
did
gonna
you
be
ever try to
incredibly
reach out to
painful
the
for him
kids,
to
drop by the
understand this
home,
stuff as soon
or
as he gets. Like, wait
was
until he
there?
understands what's going on
The
here.
separation boundary that
Yeah.
we agreed to.
When was the last time you saw Ruby?
The last time I saw her,
Yeah.
was the 18th
Of
this month. We met to. She requested me to sign over vehicles, or the titles to the vehicles.
Sign over the
she drives
vehicles.
were all in my name.
When's the last time you physically saw Russell or Eve?
The day that I moved out, July 24th, 2022. So my job is to financially provide for them.
I was trying to figure out like how much of a role do you play in the caretaking of specifically of those two kids?
I pay the bills.
Okay.
With my job, I provide the money, goes into a shared
Okay,
bank account.
completely not. You don't even talk to them.
I know, right? What the fuck?
Oh, like he like just hasn't like it's like he got kicked out and he just deposits the money.
I don't give a fuck. He's just as at fault. He should
100%.
fucking go to jail too.
I mean, well, at some point he should have been like, "Yo, what the fuck?" But he's clearly brainwashed.
As the
He needs to go to jail too. He's a fucking coward. I don't care. I
Man,
don't care, man.
fight for the right for your kids, man. Like,
Bro, if there is no chance that if I have not done something illegal, there is no chance I'm not seeing my kid. Unless I am like unless I've done something that justifies me being away from them, which he hasn't done. He hasn't done anything that justifies it. What the fuck has he done? They got a separation?
I don't even know
Fuck
why.
that guy. Fuck that guy.
for real.
Like I understand that there is like you're a victim of like it's just like when it comes to the kid, I feel like there is nothing that you can do to someone that should prevent them from.
Not for nothing, but if I were him, I probably would have been locked up a long time ago. Front door of my house.
But that's what I'm saying. If you
You know what I
haven't
mean? Like,
seen your kid,
yeah.
you haven't talked to them. You don't think that if like maybe your kid doesn't know how to do it, but like maybe you let them talk and for a quick second, even though you know you're gonna get in trouble, you're like, they starving us. Like anything. The kid had to escape and go to the fucking neighbor and knock on the door. Like
Yeah,
he must
I
have
guess
had no contact on the phone. He must have had no contact. Like nobody saw him. For him to look like that with wounds and everything, you got to think about how much time that takes, man. It doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen one time. That is repeated fucking abuse, bro.
it's like
Every day.
it's like a daily thing, right? Because like I don't even know like I don't know how long it would take for my legs to get duct tape. I really don't know how long that takes. Like, gotta be at a large amount of time, like a long fucking time.
It shouldn't happen even once. What I'm saying is that if it happens, even if it takes a week, right? And that dude hasn't talked to his kids, he hasn't seen his kids, and he's providing for them. Why the fuck can't you even hear their voices? You go a year without even hearing their voices. You haven't spoken to them. Fucking shame on him, man. Shame on him. I don't care about brainwashing nothing. You're fucking kid. My father went years without speaking to me. It just it like rubs me wrong. You know what I mean? Let's play it.
Conversation went on. Kevin seemed to be just as in the dark as the investigators.
Who lives in that home with is it ex-wife? Is it currently a separated wife? Like, who lives in that home with your children?
To be honest, I don't know. I know that she's there with 4 of the children, and our 2 older children have moved out.
This likely came as a shock to investigators. If there were 4 Franke children still living at home, that meant they weren't just missing Julie, but another one of Russell's teenage sisters, Abby. Before launching into a frantic search, The detectives decided to finish talking to Kevin, hoping he could give them an idea of where to look for the girls. As the conversation went on, though, Kevin's story only got stranger.
Who's this female Jodi that your wife lives with? Do you know a female named Jodi?
She is
This is weird.
a therapist and a life
So this
coach,
is weird to me.
and she's.
Do you respect her?
Do I respect her? Yeah, I think she's a very
The other
honest,
woman's a
faithful
therapist.
person. Yes.
Okay. Is your wife a partner of hers? Is your wife a roommate with her? Your kids are living in her house, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not aware of that, but I know that they've been in business for the last
I'm
year.
not aware of
filming,
that. So you don't even
every
know where your
week a
kids
podcast
live.
goes up and I listen to it.
That's insane, man.
What's the name of it?
Connections with an X.
This would explain the film set discovered in Jodi's house. As it
So
turned
it's
out,
like
Jodi and Ruby both had a
he's listening to the
significant following on
podcast,
Instagram and YouTube.
but he's not.
Yeah,
I
this
don't know,
is.
man.
He listens
It's
however
like
long it is, like a weekly thing. He tunes in once a week to listen to the podcast. And where are your kids while your wife is doing the podcast? You gonna like question that?
I mean, question anything. Where are the kids? I want to see them. I want to hear about them. Are they going to school? Are they playing sports? Anything. You get nothing?
In the past year, they have birthdays. You don't even fucking wish your kids happy birthday, right? Like, come on. That's.
Jodi was a therapist, and her accounts focused on counseling and family dynamics in alignment with the Church of Latter-day Saints, of which she and Ruby were both members. She called her program Connections and had written several books sharing her methods, and even taught online Zoom classes on the topics of family health and harmony. Ruby, meanwhile, created more slice-of-life content,
So this is what I mean.
cataloging
This is the
daily
shit
life
that
with her
they're
family as
putting
members
out
of the
there.
Mormon faith.
And in
Her
reality,
main
they're
platform was a
fucking
YouTube account
scumbags.
titled 8 Passengers, supplemented with an
But
Instagram under the same name.
No,
In due
that was
time,
her
the police
second
would
YouTube
learn that the
channel,
content
so,
made by Ruby and Jodi had become unimaginably twisted behind the scenes.
Are you involved with their business efforts or
no?
And were you involved in the 8 Passengers account with your family?
Yes, I was in the videos. And
Recently, Ruby's online presence had undergone a shift. She rebranded to Truth Mom, but began focusing less on her own channel in favor of working with Jodi on Connections.
You guys got a lot of heat for neglect and child abuse. A lot of people commented those things on there. Why were they commenting those things?
that's a good question. We had a son who was acting out in very selfish behavior.
is this Chad or a different
Yes, this was Chad. And none of this is strange or odd. You could get on YouTube and find out all sorts of stuff on this.
Eventually, Ruby stopped posting on her private YouTube account altogether, which Kevin said eliminated 90% of the family's income. Her last video on Jodi's channel, though, had come out just 2 days ago. In the interrogation room, Kevin shared more about the situation, which led to public outcry against the Frankies.
He was being very cruel and mean to his siblings that he shared a room with. And so we removed him from the room. And we said, you can sleep anywhere you want. Sleep on the couch, sleep on the pull-out bed, sleep on the floor for all we care, but you're not sleeping in that room with
That's
your
how
brother.
I feel, Mills.
He chose to sleep on a beanbag.
My dad went years without talking to me.
So 9 months
Fucking
later,
punk ass
he
was.
had made a lot of changes in his life. And he was ready to, and we had moved by that time. And so we had a new house, and he was ready to move into his own bedroom. Made a video about it. And in the video, he mentioned something of the effect of, I've been sleeping for 9 months on a beanbag. And that is what all the uproar was about.
This wasn't Ruby's only run-in with the law. Shockingly,
I mean,
just 5 days before her arrest, she'd been pulled over while driving
take
with
away
her
your
kids in
kid's
the
bed
car.
for 9 months?
Hello. Very interesting. punishment. It's all very weird. This guy is weird.
You know how fast you're going right there?
No.
Okay. Got you going 57 in a 35.
Ruby was sent on her way with only a speeding ticket. Back with Kevin, he explained that the situation with his oldest son, Chad, was the catalyst for Jodi getting involved with the family. She was hired as Chad's therapist and had the boy personally paying her $900 a month. From there, her involvement with the family only grew. How this could have led to the breakup of the family and the near starvation of two of the children was yet to be explored.
During your marriage, how was disciplining your kids? How would you discipline your kids?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
Are you aware of the physical condition of your children?
No, I've chosen to trust my wife with the children. That was part of the agreement of our separation.
Kevin was about to learn the harrowing consequences this decision has caused.
We received a phone call from 911 on our dispatch that a 12 to 13-year-old boy was knocking on doors in a neighborhood asking for food and water. So he had
I'm sorry, what?
He had
Take a
duct
look at
tape
his
on
reaction.
his extremities, on his hands, on his ankles, and those were covering rope burns that were used to tie him down. Take a second and think about what I just said. That's the condition of your son.
I feel like that is not.
Given that information, your son
I
was
don't
taken
know
to the
how I would
hospital.
react, but I don't think it would be
A
that.
warrant has been applied and granted by the Department of Child and Family Services to remove both Russell and Eve from your wife's care. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Would you condone that behavior?
Would I condone that behavior?
That's my job. My job is to find out your knowledge of the treatment of these
based on your
precious
description,
children.
no. But again, I don't know the details or I don't know what's going on, but as you described that sounds
Horrible. Disgusting. No human being should be treated like that.
The investigators stepped out to give
Dude,
Kevin a
mad
few
weird.
private moments to
Pause
come to
it.
terms with what he'd just
He's
learned.
like so like dry with his fucking response, man.
I don't know what to make of this guy, but it doesn't seem to me like he understands the gravity of the situation yet. What up, Kosher? Good to see you, big guy. What do you think? I mean, like, do you think that it's so much information that it's hard to process?
I
Do you
don't.
think that? Do you think that after a year of not being around your kids, it feels different to hear things like this? Maybe you're going through like, man, I have been a shit parent, not pushing harder to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
who knows what is
like
actually
who?
what is actually going through his mind? Like, yeah, maybe he's just sitting there with like little response because all he could think is, oh, like, fuck did I mean, I don't know how he can feel any other way at this point, given the fact that you.
I think it's hard for him to show feelings because I don't think he genuinely cares. You know,
Yeah,
like he
or there's
wasn't in
that,
the
or the
life
dude's
last
some like
year,
wild
right?
sociopath, and he just doesn't
And
give two
like
fucks.
he's just stuck in the moment. He doesn't know what to fucking do. Like
I mean,
I don't know.
that's a heavy accusation though, Clutch, to say he don't give a fuck. That's kind of
He
crazy.
don't though, right? I mean, in the past year, he didn't see not one of his kids for any situation, right?
Right, but
Like I
it
felt
doesn't
like he
mean he
wanted to
doesn't
get out
care,
of the
right?
whole
So
thing.
hold on, let's break it down, right? Because when you talk about people being brainwashed and manipulated and stuff like that, it is absolutely possible for this dude to be so broken down that he doesn't know what way is up. Do I think it's an excuse? No, you're a fucking bitch. That's what I think. Fuck you. I think you're a bitch. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen to him. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean it's not possible.
I'm mind
I
boggling.
don't think he cares.
Whole
I don't
thing.
know.
I don't even know. I can't read this guy for shit. I don't know if he's. He almost sounds like in disbelief. Doesn't even
Play it.
You know what I mean? He's
investigative team returned 10 minutes later. Kevin took the opportunity to ask a burning question.
What's going to happen with my wife? I love my wife.
I don't know. I'm being honest with you. I don't know. Hadn't had anything to do with
I don't know those charges against my wife.
possibly.
I love my wife.
I think given the circumstances, that's highly appropriate, but again,
That night, the police decided that Ruby would
What
be
a
booked into
fucking
jail to
bitch.
await her attorney.
dude.
Even this,
Dude.
though,
That's what he worries
failed to
about, not
get
the
a
kids, the
reaction
wife.
from
What
her.
a
Yeah,
I
fucking
this
just want
dude
to
is
let you know
lost.
what criminal
And I love my
charges
wife
for, so
too,
you're
but I
under
probably
arrest.
would
It's going to be 2 counts.
be in jail.
Second-degree felony of child abuse or neglect, okay? Do you understand
Oh
that
my
or no?
god, man.
Are you okay? I'm wondering if there's like a medical clearance that needs to, like, do you need medical attention before you go to the jail? Okay. Have you ever been arrested before? I'm just concerned about you. I know you don't believe that. But I've had an opportunity to talk to your husband and kind of worried about your circumstances and obviously your children as well. But you're sure you don't need medical attention or anything like that?
Jodi, too, was escorted to a police car to be transported to
looks
jail,
mad.
facing the same charges. Still inside the police station, Kevin learns more from the investigators about the children.
And so, I mean, this feels like getting run over by a steam truck while you're sharing with me today.
Yeah. I can tell you're caught off guard.
I thought I was just coming here to pick up my kids, and for what, I don't know what or why, but. And I was planning on taking them back with me. Everything you're sharing to me just sounds like a made-up story. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like,
A little more emotion now. Like it's sinking all
it
in.
sounds like a horror movie. And what you're sharing with me just feels like a sucker punch. I feel responsible. Separating, leaving. It hurts. I know you're all doing your jobs. And I know you all have the best interests of my kids in mind. I appreciate them.
Thank you. Thanks. That means a lot.
I just want my kids back. I want my family back. I want my wife back.
It was doubtful either Ruby or Jodi would be getting out of jail anytime soon. Jodi grappled with this through the lens of religion while speaking with a friend she called from the county jail.
And I don't know if I'm going to be like some kind of example, but when I get out of here, I have a story to tell, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect the children, because that's what's happening, is that kids are being just horribly abused. Well, I have just been begging him, like, you've got to explain this to me. Like, I cannot logically figure out what's going on here. I mean, I should be here. I haven't done anything wrong.
Ruby, too, made some equally baffling claims during her jailhouse phone calls.
But the most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. Like, my own family misunderstands me. They misinterpret me. And poor Jodi, they misinterpret her. They misunderstand her. She puts her neck out on the line for people, and then they get mad at her. I mean, it is just horrendous. It's horrendous. And you know what? Every Joseph Smith, every wonderful man of God has had to be misunderstood. And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things.
This is the witch hunt.
It wasn't all dark and twisted news, though. In a stroke of luck, the police located Julie and Abby. Shockingly, they were nowhere near the family home in Springville. Rather, they were located more than 20 miles away at a house belonging to Ruby's friend and fellow Connections member, Pam. How she'd gotten there, though, remained in question. Pam was handcuffed when the police arrived and agreed to answer some questions while waiting for additional investigators to arrive. While one officer sat with her, the other took the opportunity to check in with Julie.
Do you need medical attention at all? Okay. Is there a reason you're so scared right now? It's us? Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you've had a negative interaction with law enforcement in the past, okay? My intention is not to scare you. Do you go to school?
Down the driveway, Pam was unhandcuffed when investigators arrived from Springville. She told them that she'd received a call from Ruby asking her to pick up 2 of her daughters while she dealt with a family emergency. Up until this point, the officers were under the impression that it was only Julie at the house, but Pam clarified that her older sister, Abby, was also there. Thankfully, neither she nor Julie appeared to be in physical distress like Russell or Eve. Julie and Abby appeared hesitant to go with DCFS representatives when they arrived, but were safely taken into custody to await the outcome of the investigation. The uncertainty over Abby and Julie's whereabouts had been answered, but so many questions remained.
It'll be interesting
First
to
and
know what they
foremost,
knew
the
about their
quandary
little
of what could have
siblings.
happened to leave Russell and Eve so frail
Yeah.
and traumatized. Kevin returned to the police station with his lawyer for a second interview. The additional details he was about to share were nothing short of astonishing.
Have you found the pen papers?
The pen papers.
So it described all of the visions and trances and everything that Jodi and Ruby went into.
How thick would you say it was?
It was like 3 inches thick or so. And there were hundreds of pages of written documents. It's something Jodi would not want found.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't want to destroy it.
Because we do have Ruby's journal, which is from those dates that you mentioned.
These things are going to be so... The stuff she wrote in the pen paper, she would not write in her journal. The stuff she wrote in the pen papers was not intended to be read by anybody until God would decree them to be written as scripture for the whole world to read.
Okay.
I believe that's what we have.
It wasn't certain whether the documents found by the police were actually Ruby's pen papers or just a
pause it.
journal. Regardless of what they were called,
Did you fucking hear that craziness?
Yeah. Did you not see me? What the?
So did you take that? Did you think that? Did you hear it the same way I heard it? As in she
thinks she's going to be a god.
writing a gospel? She not even. She thinks she's writing a book, like a Bible.
Yeah. And this guy apparently seems like he believes it. He said that with the most serious, like. He also, I don't know if the picture was the same, but he looked like he is wearing it and sitting the same exact way as the first interview.
the contents revealed a wealth of heinous secrets.
I think that was a photo.
On July
They were
10,
showing them the audio
2022,
recording.
Ruby wrote, "Eve and Russell have been in so much deviant behavior they won't control their bodily functions. I never would have suspected the cold, dead heart Russell has." Ruby echoed these sentiments in one of the phone calls she made from jail.
Adults have a really
my
hard
God.
time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it.
According to the journal, Russell and Eve were locked in closets, made to do physical labor, wall sits, jump on a trampoline, stand out in the rain, and carry heavy boxes up and down the stairs for hours on end. When Eve slipped and fell while carrying the boxes, Ruby accused her of doing so on purpose and then shaved her head as punishment. And this was just brushing the surface of what the children endured.
I've never had a kid quite like Eve, but she does not like to sit and listen. I don't know if that's just her personality and she just needs me to be more strict with her than what was required with some of the other kids, or if she is displaying hyperactivity tendencies. So I'm going to try to figure that out today. I honestly don't know which way it's going to go. She knows that I mean it, and I'm going to carry through with it. If she absolutely is not capable, then I'm going to maybe take further measures to figure out if there's hyperactivity tendencies going on, or if she stays and she's really good and she listens, then it probably just means she needs a little bit more of a strict routine with her.
According to Kevin, the fight against so-called evil had not originated with the children. In fact, the downward spiral had begun more than a year prior under some very strange circumstances.
We went out to like a dinner afterwards, and that's where Jodi really opened up to the women in a private conversation that she believed she was
No,
being
I don't think they have it on tape.
tormented
I
and
think they just have
haunted
the audio.
by shadow figures every night. And that was spooky.
Ruby also revealed that Russell and Eve still sometimes failed to control their bodily functions.
That was
She presented this as a method by which they defied her. Back with Kevin, he alleged that Jodi's experiences had rapidly grown more intense.
She was walking along the beach with.
I think they were putting the kids in adult diapers.
Yeah, because that they were going to the bathroom to buy her, but locked in a closet with no. Locked in the closet for so many hours. Choice.
Jesus, and Jesus challenged her to go walk on the water, and it was a whole lesson on walking on the water.
And that was still just the tip of the iceberg. The more investigators read of Ruby's journal, the more depraved the story became. Tuesday, big day for evil, she wrote on July 11th. All night, Eve screamed and cried and hit her head on the tile floor. Today, Jodi confronted her. Eve admits to putting on a show for her mother. Eve said she wants to be pitiful. When the investigators read on and learned what torment Eve had endured to reach this level of desperation, they likely didn't know whether to be enraged or heartbroken. Jodi mentioned her experiences with what she called the spirit in one of her jail phone calls.
When I feel the spirit, I have two physiological reactions. I get really like shaky, like I'm shivering, like I'm cold, or I feel heat, like I have a fever run through me. It felt like I was burning up, and I was just shaking with gratitude. Like, here's your answer. Here's what this is.
Back with Kevin, he revealed that while Jodi's alleged visions had initially seemed positive, things quickly took a much darker turn, and things changed inside the house.
There was a lot of satanic ones. When she would go into possession mode, she would talk in like different voices.
How does he all of a sudden know so much
the
shit that's
voices
happening?
would say, "She's ours.
Facts,
We're
right?
not letting go.
He said the after
she
the
is
fact.
Satan's bride. She's mine. I'm going to marry her." If she was faking it, she believed that Satan wanted her as her bride.
The journal revealed that Eve experienced horrific punishments. This is the day Eve anticipates breaking her 2-day fast, Ruby wrote. I let Russell know she has hardened her heart and will do one more day of fasting to invite her to humble. Eve flips out and begins ranting. All day, Eve makes rhymes about "my mom starves me" and calls it fasting. In his second interview, Kevin continued his description of what it was like to live with Jodi.
I can't explain some of the stuff that happened while we were there, like crashes in the basement while we were talking upstairs, and plates like in the kitchen just flying off by themselves, like full speed, smashing on the wall and falling to the floor. And I don't have any
So this dude
way
believes
to explain it other
that
than
there
there's
was
some
ghosts
crazy
haunting.
On other
Demonic
occasions,
spirit.
Eve was doused with water in the dog wash and made to sleep on the basement floor, and it only got worse going forward. Kevin, too, said that back in 2021, the situation with Jodi took a similar downward trajectory as she became increasingly entwined with his family.
But it reached the point where in August, her bishop at the time, he's not her bishop anymore, but I mean, he was going over there every night, and he'd be there for like 4 hours. Then he'd be like, I'm evil spirits. I'm casting demons out. I'm crazy stuff going on. And finally he got to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, there needs to be some sort of resolution.
After the bishop left, the first attempted fix was for Jodi to move in with another family involved with connections. The opinions Kevin shared about what happened with that family reflect only his beliefs, and we have not been able to verify them.
According to that, after 6 weeks and trying to seduce the husband of the family, they kicked her out.
While there was no way to prove that Jodi had been held against her will, the police knew for a fact that Russell and Eve had been. Ruby documented one particularly horrific confrontation between Russell and Jodi, whom she refers to frequently as G-Joe. G-Joe takes Russell on a little walk to the pool, Ruby wrote. She talks on how Russell has love twisted. G-Joe then pushed Russell into the pool. Meanwhile, Kevin recounted the events after Jodi either escaped or was kicked out of the other family's home.
It was at that point that they said, why don't you take her up to your house? And I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want this in my house. But I was beaten over the head with it. Like, that's really insensitive. You know, she's done so much to help our family, and you're being selfish, and she has needs, and come on, like, it won't be for long. And so I relented, and I was like, okay.
Later in his second interview, Kevin told the police about the drastic changes that took place in the Franke house after Jodi moved in.
The moment she showed up in my house, just the weirdest crap started happening. Lights turning on and off, sounds of people walking in walls, and like sounds like footprints going
possible
up
to fake all this
walls and
stuff?
across the ceiling, and stuff floating around.
Like for this lady
and
to
I became
Jodi to be
the
doing this?
resident
Oh, no.
exorcist. That was the title I came up with myself. I thought it was kind of funny. Whenever she started to like go into a trance and go into possession, which started to be a lot. And Ruby would go up and check on her. It started like every 4 hours at night, and then it moved every 2 hours at night, then it moved every hour at night, and then at some point Ruby said, you know what, I'm just going to start sleeping in there. And if I need you, I'll come down and get you.
Kevin said that Ruby and Jodi began sleeping in the same bed. However, this was only the beginning, and soon Kevin noticed that he was being subjected to unique restrictions.
I could leave when I wanted, but I couldn't come back until Ruby gave me permission. I couldn't come into the kitchen to eat until Ruby gave me permission. And the upstairs where Jodi roamed was completely off limits. Ruby would dictate all of the terms of how our interactions would be when we would talk. No matter what I did, no matter how much I tried to track better, be truthful and not be selfish. Every week it was like, you're being manipulative, you're being selfish, you're lying, you're hiding something, you're still hiding stuff. And I really started to question my sanity, honestly. It became more and more and more and more and more isolated. Jodi had an approved list of men that I could make phone calls to.
This appeared to be a method Ruby repeated with Russell at Jodi's house. Ruby recounted in the journal how she woke one night to find Russell missing, and a note written in pebbles on the balcony which read, "Jail, I will call when I get there." Panicked, Ruby said she and Jodi searched the house, then got in their cars and began driving around looking for Russell, which Ruby described as racing the devil. They brought him home. Disturbingly, she went on to describe the concession of letting Russell sleep in a bed and feeding him a full meal.
So yeah, he's gotten out before. That's crazy.
Maybe then they started to tie him up.
Yeah, that's
The
probably
next day
probably
is
why.
like
That's
stitching up a
crazy,
patient
man.
knowing you didn't get all the cancer out.
Okay, look at me. Don't say health anymore.
You just said it.
Yeah, so I'm very clear what I'm talking about. Don't say that again. Do you understand? Because next time you won't be smiling on your face.
Kevin explained
So
that the
he let this
situation
woman
never
into his
improved
house.
as everyone tried to appease Jodi and Ruby.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, it was all downhill before that.
So I was completely cut off. If I went to my church leaders, I was seeking enablement. If I went to my family, I was seeking enablement. If I went to anybody, I was seeking enablement.
It can get
I felt
worse.
trapped. And that's where I was all the way up until the last week of July, when Jodi called me one day out of the blue and just said, I don't understand why you're not getting it.
While everything the police had learned so far was certainly horrific, they would soon realize that it almost got unimaginably worse for the children. Based on the journal entries, the authors
There's
believe
only 5 minutes left, so go to 5 minutes left. $54.
Who was like, are you kidding me? And apparently she wanted to sell the house, but couldn't because my name was on the mortgage.
In another jail call, Ruby revealed that the Arizona scheme had gotten further along than anyone yet knew. One shudders to think what could have happened if Russell hadn't escaped before the move.
I pulled the money, and I have it in a bag.
With you? Do the police have it?
Well, I don't know what the police took.
But the bag was at Jodi's house?
They can't just take
So
people's money. I mean,
basically,
that's not right.
In a stunning twist, the person on the other end
she
of the
was
phone was
renting
none
the
other
house
than
that he
Kevin
was paying the
himself.
bills on.
In the days following Ruby's arrest, the pair made several phone calls where Kevin tried to ensure he received custody of the children and secured the money that Ruby had pulled out. Kevin's demeanor towards Ruby in these calls might be unexpected.
I am committed to our family. I'm committed to you and our marriage. No matter what happens, I will be here to support you in any way that I can.
Well, thank you for stepping up.
During this call, Kevin and Ruby agreed to limit their contact going forward to strengthen Kevin's chances of gaining legal custody of the children. A discovery made the next day, though, blew that out of the water.
The bag's gone.
What?
The bag is gone.
What? What?
There's no bag.
The only thing more shocking than the bag's disappearance was where Ruby had gotten the funds in the first place. Kevin and his lawyer revealed the source of the missing $85,000 while speaking with police.
That money, she cleaned out their bank accounts.
The kids' savings accounts.
Yeah, and yours too, your joint account.
Yeah.
That's where that money came from.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can have, or if I need to have a discussion with the county attorney. Kevin would kind of like his kids' money back.
Unfortunately, tracking down the money and attempting to return it to the children would likely become a separate civil case. While Ruby didn't comment on this directly while in jail, she had more thoughts to share the longer she was behind bars.
The devil is so sly, and I'm embarrassed it took such
$85,000 is a lot of
a
money,
slap
man.
in the face to wake up to it.
On another call with her parents, Ruby proofread
I'm
a court
confused.
statement she wrote to address her children
You know what
and
happened to-
acknowledge her actions.
She cleaned
I
out
would
their
do
bank
anything in
accounts,
this world for
everyone's
you.
bank account.
Oh, and just spent
My
the money?
willingness to sacrifice all for
No,
you
it
was
was in a
masterfully
bag, and
manipulated
she's saying
into
it's
something
gone.
very ugly. I took from you all that was safe and soft and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you. I will never, ever stop crying for hurting your tender
So wait,
soul.
she started to realize that she...
You are such a very precious part
So
of
now
me.
she
I'm so very
understands she's
sorry.
wrong?
But no apology in the world could begin to undo the horrible trauma experienced by the Franke children. In contrast to Ruby's attempt to make amends, Jodi's response was the same as it was at the beginning of the investigation.
The Lord says that first they'll lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons. And the children
Alright,
shall
got it.
rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death. That statement right there is what's going on with me. The children shall rise up and put their parents to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake.
Ultimately, Ruby and Jodi were charged with 6 felony counts of child abuse and neglect each. Rather than go to trial, Ruby and Jodi pleaded guilty to 4 counts of child abuse. Though their cases were adjudicated separately, they received the same sentences. On each count, Jodi and Ruby were sentenced to serve between 1 and 15 years in prison. The sentences were to be consecutive, meaning both women could be behind bars for up to 60 years, which could be the rest of their
Consecutively?
lives. Kevin
Bro,
continues to
that is
lobby for custody of his
insane.
children, who were taken by DCFS and placed in foster care. The Frankie's oldest daughter, Sherry, is writing a book about her upbringing and has requested the public respect the privacy of her younger siblings as they attempt to recover. While their current status is unknown, we can only hope that the Frankie children are at long last experiencing the kindness and gentleness that they deserve.
Thanks.
I mean,
Oh my god.
I can't say I enjoyed your stream. Fucking heartbreaking. Yeah, I know, but it's podcast. You know, this is what we do for podcast.
That's crazy, man.
Have a good one, guys. We'll do another. We'll do
We'll
another story.
react next one. We got a short one.
Yeah.
All right.
Have
Gotta
a
hit
good
this
one,
outro
Pete.
for Clutch, or he's.
No, I'm not. Have a good one.